What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of Talk in Faith. I am Reverend Jalen Phifer. I am so glad that you guys decided to join us. I am so glad that you are subscribing and liking our videos and watching us. I thank you for your continued support. I've got a special guest with us this week, and here he is. I've got with me Pastor Courtney Meadows, and now we're going to get into the interview. What's up, everybody? This week, I've got a special guest with me. I have Pastor Courtney Meadows with me. He is the generational pastor at Grace Baptist Church in Stockbridge, Georgia. If you have not seen this guy preach, you are missing out. You are missing out. You are missing out. Pastor, it is good to have you. I am so excited to have you and see you. How are you doing?
And I am good. You are way too kind. I'm just honored that you thought of me. I am so excited about your ministry and this podcast. You and your wife are doing an amazing job. And I know that the best is yet to come for you.
Oh, thank you, man. See, you're too kind too. You're too kind as well. Man, going back, I know I started preaching when I was about 12. How old were you?
I was 6 years old, the second Sunday of June, the year 2000. And
Man,
that was almost 23 years ago.
woo! Man, I came to talk to young people today, but you're getting old, man. You're getting
I'll be
old.
30 this year, man. 30 on our.
Man, oh man. I hope you're enjoying life, man. I hope you're enjoying it.
I'm enjoying the journey.
Yes, sir. It's always a journey. But like I was saying, like when I was 12, man, I remember I was watching or not watching, I was on my journey, getting ready to preach. And I can't remember who it was. It was either my pastor or my dad, one of those two. They showed me this video, kind of like to encourage me to knock the nerves off, to let me know I could do it. They showed me this video of this 6-year-old kid preaching. And I had no clue who it was, but they said if he can do it, God can use you in the same way. All these years later, I probably figured out about 3 years ago that it was you.
And I remember when you did your initial sermon. Well, we call it trial sermon.
Right.
But I remember coming to your home church, Hutchinson Baptist Church in Montgomery, probably when I was around 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And it was, Hutchinson was like one of those prominent churches in the city.
Oh, yeah.
And the late Dr. G.W.C. Richardson, to get an invitation there, you were doing
Right.
something.
You were doing something. To preach in his pulpit, you were doing something.
I remember, and I felt so, it was encouraging for me to see you step up, because it was a reminder that God was still using people super, super young.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that I wasn't alone. But hey, we got to do this thing together.
See, there we go. We both had in each other's mind. I wasn't alone. Looking at this young kid here, I wasn't alone. And that's kind of what I came to talk to you today. I brought some heat today, and I brought a real good guy to bring it up out of you. So like I said, I kind of wanted to talk to young people. Y'all know I'm here for everybody. I talk to everybody. But my main goal today, I want to let these young people know, for one, that they have purpose. For two, that it's not going to be easy. And for three, you've got to keep going in spite of what it is that you're feeling or what's going on. So I know we preach, so we might talk a little bit about preaching today, but understand that preaching is our purpose. Preaching is our calling. It is what God called us to do. God also gave you a purpose, and he gave you a calling. So as we are talking, apply it to yourself. See if you can, see if you can relate. See if we can help you out a little bit. I brought this guy on for a reason. I really believe that we are in for a treat. So I
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited.
I
I
am.
am as well. Super excited. So I got my lovely wife over here in the background. I don't know why she didn't want to be on the camera this week. She do it every other week. But I got her in the background. She's gonna start out. She's gonna ask us some questions. And just answer them. I mean, if you want to go first, if you want me to go first, we're just gonna flow.
We'll
Oh
tag team.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so the first question I want to ask is how do you stay motivated in the small beginnings?
How do you stay motivated in what?
In the small beginnings. The small beginnings, how do you stay motivated?
I think about my beginning. I was again 6 years old. I had a spiritual foundation. I thank God for my village, grandmothers,
Oh yeah.
my parents have always been supportive. Though neither of my parents were preachers or anything of that nature. So I'm not like a second, third generation preacher. They always made sure I had that spiritual foundation. And I remember um, being in the back of my grandmother's house playing church with stuffed animals. And I talk about this more now because I was ashamed back in my earlier days, but
Yeah.
one day it became so real. Not that I was faking, but it just there weren't real people. There were stuffed
Right,
animals, and
right, right.
so I was giving it all that I had to them. And I heard the Lord say to me that day that I was to preach His gospel. It's kind of similar to the call of Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
And there are moments where I deal with challenges with real people,
Yeah.
older people, and I always go back to when I wasn't preaching before real people, those stuffed
Right.
animals, and how I was true to those services, how I was true to my God, how I was true to that passion. That was a test for me that if I could be faithful in that there's
Oh yeah.
nothing that God couldn't trust me to do. And so I stay motivated by remaining humble because
Mm-hmm.
I understand that everything that I'm to do, everywhere that I'm to go, everything that I'm to accomplish, He has always been the one who has called me and strengthened me and helped me to defy the odds. When others said you're too young, or you don't have this degree or that degree,
Oh
or
yeah.
you don't measure up to our standards, God has always allowed me to supersede. So I trust that He has me here for a reason, and that every day I'm living out that call. And I remember those stuffed animals to know that if God could bring me from that to
Mm-hmm.
the amazing things that have happened thus far, that everything's gonna be all right.
There
There
you.
you go. I love that answer. Um, I kind of feel like for me it was a little bit different. I preached my first sermon in front of probably about 200 people. So, I can say though when I did preach, or when I got my calling and became aware of it, um, I preached in front of my dad. I preached in front of pastor.
All
All
that
that
before
before
the,
for
for
the
the few
few
hundred.
hundred folks, but I don't know. I don't really remember that, right? You just in my situation, I just remember the big stuff. Like my first sermon, like you can hear my heart beating out of my chest. So for me, it comes a little bit later down the line. For me, it comes when I started this ministry. Actually, believe it or not, either this week or next week, our ministry is 1 year old. And there we go.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
And
And
there
there have been times where I've looked at this and said, man, this is pointless.
nobody
Nobody
is
is
listening
listening
to
to
me.
me.
That's
That's what it felt like. And I felt like quitting. I felt like giving up because I put a lot of work, I put a lot of effort into this, and I felt like God told me to do this, but I'm not seeing the results, God. So, the human side of me said to give up, and then I decided to get a fresh start. So my motivation is that God called me to this, and he didn't bring me this far just to bring me this far. At this point, I've been doing it for about 6 or 7 months. God ain't told me to stop, So my motivation was, look, you can't stop because God didn't tell you to stop.
That's right.
He told you to do this, though, and he has a plan. And in that plan, in yourself, it isn't always going to be cute. But now we've restarted. Now we're doing things differently. And because I didn't give up, videos are receiving hundreds of views now. I still believe God for growth. I still believe God for more. I am chasing more. I tell people all the time, I want to reach the world. I don't want to just reach 2 or 3 people. My wife has some family that's Jamaican, and her grandmother has been sharing the videos to the family in Jamaica. I'm like, okay, we're getting there. I want to reach the world. I don't want to just, talk to 2 or 3 people. But how do I do that if I give up? So I have to stay motivated. I have to keep going. I have to look and say, you know what? There's small growth. I have to take the little things and know that it's God. Be grateful for the little things. Because he said if you can, what does it say?
Be faithful in little.
There you go. I'll make you rulers over many. There we go.
Yeah.
This is why I brought the pastor on.
No. And I was really thinking about something as you were saying this.
Yeah.
There's an actual scripture that says, despise not or don't be ashamed of your small beginnings.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you just said a moment ago was that because I know God has called me, basically, that's all that I need. And oftentimes when I think of motivation must be internal. Oftentimes we make the basis of our motivation the validation that people give. So if I get this many followers on social media, I must be doing well. Or if people, tell me this or that, or, based off of the amount of money that I received, and all those things are good. But oftentimes I find, and since we're talking to our generation, we have to learn how to prove the point within.
Yeah.
We don't leave the point to be proven by people. Right. When you make people and all this external stuff the point provers for your life, you'll always lose motivation. But when you prove the point to yourself, you have nothing to prove to anybody else.
Right.
So oftentimes small can be right where God wants me to be.
That's it.
And we have to really rethink what are the margins of success, because we scroll through social media and we make other people's success, and we live in this world of comparison.
Yes,
just because of what they're doing at their level that they're doing it, that mean that that's what God has for me. So you have to prove it to yourself.
We got Miss I don't want to be on the camera over here with a hand up. So go ahead, throw in your 2 cents.
I'm over my time. I'm sorry.
Nah, you good. You good. This is how we do though. We flow, and then we're like, okay, let me add this.
So I was just like thinking about what he was saying. Like, sometimes we're in a small part of our lives and we think, like that can't be what God wants from us. And I remember like I heard something, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, and I posted on Facebook like, how many tests are we failing because we think the task is too small for us? Or we think we're greater than what he's asking us to do. Like, how many tests are we really failing because all he wants you to do is talk to about 30 people and you feel like you should be talking to 500?
Yeah.
Like that, when he said that made me think. So like, I'm back in the background, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think about my journey right now. It's been a year since I moved from Montgomery.
Yeah.
And, some people really thought and probably still think that I am foolish for moving from being a senior pastor to a generational pastor. What the heck is that?
Right.
But we have to learn to trust God because he orders every stop and step of our lives.
Yes, he does.
And there's a certain peace that you have when you know that you're doing right now. Doesn't mean forever, but we have to embrace the now of this is what I'm doing. And I'm not just talking about like us as preachers, but to that person that's watching and you're in college or getting ready to graduate or trying to jumpstart in your profession. You have to embrace the now of your journey versus keeping in your mind, okay, this is where I ultimately want to be. Not even understanding, hey, that may be 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get there, but you have to embrace that moment because within every moment is a lesson, something that's going to prepare you for what is next. Because a lot of times the things that we want and we wish for, we're not even ready. So if you can't be proud of your small beginning, why should anyone else trust you with something greater? You got to embrace where you are.
You got to embrace where you are to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
So y'all ready for the second one?
You ready? You on fire.
All right now. Okay, so the second question that I have, so since, we were kind of on the topic, like encouraging other young people, stuff like that. So what advice do you have for young people chasing their calling?
Be sure of your calling. Oftentimes we admire other people so much to the degree that we take on someone else's calling.
Yeah.
Now, the beautiful thing about called people is that they make it look easy. They make it look attractive.
They do.
Every
but
call, but it's not always easy. So you got to be sure of your unique calling. Never covet or desire someone else's calling. Discover, seek out your purpose and what that looks like, because everyone's ministry is going to be different. Right. And that's why I say don't live in that margin and world of comparison. So be sure of your calling. Once you are clear on that calling, understand that you will grow into your calling. When I was 6 years old, I wasn't ready for all of this, some of the things that I'm walking into now.
Right.
But you got to commit to growing into that calling. Your calling doesn't grow. You grow into it. And so you have to commit to grow. Just because you're called doesn't mean that you're necessarily ready for everything that you're called to. So when you discover that you have a call, whatever that, I'm not just talking about ministry. Everything that we do really is ministry because we should be helping others, helping humanity, right? But once you discover it, I want you to commit to doing everything you can to invest in yourself, invest in your mind by way of education, invest in yourself socially by surrounding yourself with quality people that can complement your call, and commit to spending the rest of your life growing into it. Oh yeah, that's the advice that I would give.
Whew, this is a hard one. It's not really hard because I lack advice. It's hard because I have too much advice.
It is so much. Like, where do you start? Yeah.
Like, right. Like, where do you start? So I think, okay, so you said grow in it. Before I get to what I think, I want to add to that a little bit. Because David was anointed to be king as a little boy. Ain't got no little boy kings running around here. The anointed was put on him by God. But he had to grow into it. He had to face that Goliath before he could be king. He had to be king somewhere else before he can be king of where he was anointed to be king. So he had to grow into it. He had to work it out. He had to go through life. He had to go through the journey. And this is going to be a journey. It's going to be difficult. And this is my advice. It's going to be difficult. It's going to come with a lot. It may come with a Goliath. You never know what your calling or what your journey in your calling is going to come with. But my advice is not to give up, because God can use you to increase the faith in others. God can use you to bring people to him. You never know what it is that God is doing in your life, because if I'm being honest, he lacks details. He tells you, do this, and he doesn't tell you anything else. He's like, figure the rest out. Just do this. Make sure you're doing this. Make sure you are walking in your calling. It reminds me of the parable where the man gave the talents.
Talents, yeah.
Yeah. And when he gave the talents, he didn't say what to do with them. So 2 of them went out and multiplied it. But one of them said, "No, I know the kind of man that you are. If I don't come back here with nothing, there's going to be a problem. So I buried mine, and I'm bringing you back what you gave." But that's not what he wanted. And God is kind of like that. He didn't give you the details. But what he does want you to do is multiply it. And how do you multiply it if you give up? So what you have to do is don't give up. But how do you not give up? Well, you trust God. Because he didn't bring you this far just to bring you this far. He didn't call you just to call you. He does not go without a plan. He does not go without executing his plan. So it looks crazy, people. I said in a sermon one time, you can't follow God if you're not willing to look foolish. Mm-hmm. If you're not willing to go in your backyard and build a boat and let everybody know it's gonna rain and there's not a cloud in the sky, you can't be a prophet that says, "Oh, the drought is about to end. I see the cloud. It's about to rain, and the cloud looks like this." But you're excited, you're running, you're yelling. You can't be who God called you to be if you're not willing to look foolish. So, if you're willing to look foolish, you might as well trust him to work it out. You might as well trust him to keep it going. You might as well trust him to make a way out of no way. Now, if I keep going, I'm going to start preaching, so she better ask a question.
I mean,
you hear it
in your cadence. You need to watch your voice.
Yeah, I need to bring it down.
You're about to preach. You're about to make me pull out my hoop triggers.
Okay.
And we're gonna have to
look. We're gonna tag team this preaching. I'm gonna let you close. If you ain't never heard him close, I'm gonna let you close. I'm gonna start it out. I'm gonna let you close though.
No. Let me see if I can turn it up. Let me turn it up. See, you get ready to preach. That's what I was doing when you were talking.
She better get me. She better ask a question or something.
The next one I have is, what was the hardest part
of your journey?
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part from anywhere till now?
In every ministry step for me, it's always been getting over myself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get in our own way and we get in God's way.
Yeah.
And so that self-doubt versus the confidence in, hey, God has sent you to do this. You can overcome the challenges. And so oftentimes we have to get over ourselves. Sure. And oftentimes what that means for me in the journey, for example, most recently, leaving home. I have been in Montgomery all of my life. and leaving Montgomery was a big step. Coming to a place where you're dealing with new people, new church,
Mm-hmm.
But what was so amazing about stepping out of the comfort zone was what I feared most. My father had already handled it. That is God.
Yeah.
So I feared, hey, I'm going to this place where people don't really know me. My first Sunday, people are saying, hey, I know this person that's in your family, or I used to work in Montgomery, or I know this person. They told me to look out for you, And so what I feared most, God had already worked it out. And so oftentimes we get in our own way, we psych ourselves out, and we doubt God's ability to make that thing happen, and the ability that he has placed within me to make it happen. Believe in yourself as you believe in your God, and know that even in the things that I'm not sure of, he's already handled it.
I don't want to give the same answer, but I'm gonna change it up a little bit. But no, seriously though, that's a real thing, because I've had struggles with that too. Like, and I've even had God tell me, like, am I not God? Did I not call you? Did I not already plan this out? And it's like, but God, like, don't you know me? Like, didn't you see me? Like, me? Like, you want me? This is what you want me to do? And then you want me to do more after this? You think these people are going to listen to me? So, like, going back to when I started preaching, like, when I was 12, when I was 12 and 13, these people don't want to hear me. Then what was so crazy was my first sermon was entitled Pain That Causes Suffering. I'm 12. People are looking at me like, boy, you don't know nothing about no pain. What pain have you been through? But as I broke my story down to them, as I let them know what I had been through, even in my young life, they could understand. Not only could they understand, they could relate. And like you were saying, like, this is God working it out. Like, the questions I have, he's already working it out. And it's even harder even then believing in myself, because I had people, they didn't say it to me. They'll say things behind your back, but they didn't say it to me. I had people say I wasn't writing my sermons. I had somebody say my dad wrote my sermons. My dad never wrote a sermon I ever preached. I've been preaching for almost 10 years. He still hasn't written one. So I'm like, where do you get these things from? But I take it as a compliment now, because I'm like, oh, my preaching was that good, you thought I couldn't do it. I came with the heat. My first one was Pain That Causes Suffering. I came back with The Lord is a Good Shepherd. What'd I come back with after that? I don't know, man.
So many, I can't
even go all the way back like that. But I just know, like, stuff like that, it makes it hard to believe in yourself. It makes it hard to see what other people see in you. It makes it hard to see what God sees in you. And even now, I'm like, God, what am I doing? Like, you still want me to do this? Like, you still called me? It just gets hard to believe in yourself. I think that's the hardest part. But once you get over that, and once you do what God's calling you to do, you realize that he is God. Like we've been saying, he is God. He'll always make a way. So let you go ahead with the
you got something to say?
I'm gonna just do one more thing. I want to push the envelope on this. There's something even harder. Success.
How do you deal with success?
That sometimes we mismanage success. That what's been even harder in the journey is what happens when you do extremely well.
Right.
And in the same manner that we begin to self-doubt, success can sometimes make us stagnant.
Mm.
That when I do extremely well over a period of time, I have to keep challenging myself to do more. And so I
Right.
just want to encourage the person that's saying, well, hey, I'm not in a struggle right now. It seems like I'm doing well. Sometimes when you get stuck in success, struggle comes to challenge you to keep reaching.
Mm.
So that becomes even harder, not just the struggle of climbing the ladder, but what happens when you feel like you reach the top of the ladder and there's more to the ladder.
That was good right there. That's good. That's good. We don't oftentimes think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just gonna freestyle it up because y'all answered some of the questions and the other questions, so it's okay. But I was just gonna like tell y'all, like any other encouraging words that y'all have for the young people or anything like that, or not even just the young people, the people of God that's listening. Y'all got any encouraging words?
Normally I go
push them
first.
through the
You
week.
let the pastor go. Let the pastor go first.
It's been a recurring theme. God called you. There's nothing more to say. God called you. I mean, it doesn't matter what the people say. It doesn't matter what the numbers say. It doesn't matter how you view yourself. God called you. And when he called you, he knew you, he knew who you were, he knew what you would do, but he also knew what you were capable of. And when he knew that, he knew he could use you. So let him use you. He called you, let him use you. I know we got some young people on here, let them use you. We got some older ones too. I refuse to believe everybody's just young. Maybe you want to try something new, let him use you. Maybe God's shifting your life, just let him use you. And hey, if you haven't given God a try yet, that's what I suggest above anything else. Give him a try. What you got for us, Pastor?
First off, it's been great being on this podcast with you. I
It's been
celebrate
great to
what
have you.
God is. I celebrate what He's doing in your ministry, and I
Thank
often
you,
think
man.
about what would I say to my younger self.
Yeah.
And as I reflect on the journey, just as a final word of encouragement to everyone at whatever point you may be, just breathe.
I think I need to learn that sometimes.
So many times we are so busy trying to get to what is next. We're so busy trying, to do what makes us feel accomplished. And we miss the fact that every day God blesses us with his breath. It's God's breath that he is allowing you to breathe.
Right.
Don't allow what you're dealing with by way of struggle to take your breath away. Embrace where you are. Celebrate where you are. Small, great, whatever, seemingly insignificant to others. You're right where you need to be. Know that God is ordering your steps and that there is so much greatness that is already in you that is waiting to manifest. But that manifestation is contingent on you just being willing to embrace each day, day by day, breath by breath. Know that you're going to get there and you're right where God wants you to be.
Man, I couldn't have said it better myself. I I know, because I didn't say it myself. No, Pastor, again, I thank you for coming. I thank you for taking the time out of your day. It's been great. I hope that we've been a blessing to somebody. I hope somebody heard something that could change their lives. That's always my hope. I don't take you being here lightly. I greatly appreciate it. if you ever need anything, and you know, if you ever need a reason to come to Florida, just give me a call. But
We're gonna work on that.
we're gonna work on that one. We'll go ahead and wrap it up today. I thank you, man. Now I'll be talking to you. I'll be looking for you. This is Pastor Courtney Meadows, Grace Baptist Church in Cummings, Georgia.
Stockbridge.
Cummings is a whole different place.
It's a
I'm
whole
sorry.
different place.
Stockbridge. I don't even know why that was on my mind. Stockbridge, Georgia. Stockbridge, Georgia is where he is. I watch him all the time. I see him on Facebook. Grace Baptist Church on Facebook. You've got to give this guy a try. I mean, if you're ready to shout, just let him get to the end of the sermon. I'm trying to tell you, he'll have you running. Thank you, Pastor. It's good to have you.
Thank you, man.
And to Walk in Faith Ministries, thank you for joining us for another video. I look forward to seeing you guys next week, because you know we're going to do it again. We don't stop. Y'all have a great week. May God bless you.